What's up, everybody? Today I've got a new toy in the shop that I wanted to show to you. It's the QuickDraw measuring tape. QuickDraw measuring tape. You've probably seen it. It's gone viral online. The videos for this tape. It's a pretty innovative, kind of newfangled design, which is something that I like talking about. So let's take a look at it and see. Really, is it practical? And how are we comparing it, and does it work the way they say it does? I've already opened this one. I've already loaded it. It'll come with 10 cartridges, which are basically graphite cartridges that you just load into the tape measure, and it'll come with 10 of those. And the way that works is, as you've probably seen, basically there's just a little hole in the top here, and you pull this lever back, you put the graphite cartridge in, and snap it forward, and it locks that graphite cartridge in, putting pressure on it, which then is transferred by this little wheel that has ridges on it, and that'll make your mark for you. Now, as far as this tape compared to other tapes, it's very similar. The lines are super similar to something like a Fat Max, nearly identical. Actually, these numbers are a little bigger on this one, which is something that I like, assuming they don't obstruct the lines at all, compared to maybe a Stanley. This is an old Stanley Powerlock 30. So this one you can see, as far as comparison, we can just set them all out here. And then, being a woodworker, I've got my little tape that I just keep with me all the time. So you can see not much difference. It's pretty classic as far as the tape measure. As far as dimensionally, width is concerned, as you can see, it's actually either the same or maybe a little bit bigger than the Fat Max as far as width, and obviously the lever lock isn't quite as large. So there's that too. Now, as far as like the actual locking on the where you hold the tape, it is a little stiff. Actually, that's one of the only things. The first thing I noticed was when I grabbed this, I picked it up and I'm like, my Fat Max, when you hit this button, it locks. It grips your finger real well. It's got rubberized grip on here. There's no missing the button at any point in time. This one is not quite the same. I could see myself struggling with this. So you can see, you have to push hard. And these have both been worn in for a long time. So maybe when I first got it, it might have been similar, but I don't like the finger hold on this. I think they've kind of made a big tape measure here, and they're trying to be a little discreet, which really takes away from the tape as far as I'm concerned. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty standard. As you can see, it's got the nail holder, the ridge. It does have, instead of making a mark, obviously, since you're making a mark with a graphite, it does have a marker to tell you where exactly you need to be to make that mark correctly. So instead of, you can pull it out and obviously mark like regular tape, but instead you can see there's a red line on top of there. And what that's for is, if I wanted to mark 8 inches, I lock it down at 8 inches, and I look at my fingers having a hard time pushing that down. But if I want to mark it at 8 inches, I lock that down at 8 inches over the black line. You can see the red line there, and that tells me exactly where this little graphite roller is going to be at. So that's pretty much a comparison. The only other thing that I'd bring up is the belt clip on this is a little funny. It's definitely different. It's smaller. It's a slimmer design, obviously, because they're trying to be slim because they put so much bulk into the actual tape measure. Compared to something else. This is only a 16-footer, so if you're looking for a comparison, this 16-footer, 30-footer, and it's definitely closer to the 30-footer size, because it's doing a little bit extra with the graphite here. But they're doing a slim belt clip design, which I'm not sure I like. Also, it's this little, I know a lot of people don't use this for hanging it on a nail or screw or whatever, and I like this design. This design I don't like. Because this, you can set it right on the nail, whatever. If I've got it, because I keep this in my workshop instead of on a tool belt, I can just set it on the wall and pull it off the wall. This makes that very difficult to do. Granted, this is going to be, it's a 25-footer and it's a larger, so it's going to be more, I think, for construction type application, where you need to mark and cut, mark and cut, mark and cut, versus where I can this will suffice 98% of the time for me, because I'm just in the workshop, unless I'm really doing something large or I need to measure somebody's backyard or something like that, or shelving or something that's over 8 feet. So this really seems like it's more of a construction consumer base is what they're going for. So as far as actually using the tape, I think that's about it as far as comparison. It's ABS plastic. It's got the rubber grip, which is good because, you know, I think anybody who's used a tape for any amount of time knows that if you set it down and you don't want it to move there, you know, you'd like it not to slide. So it's got the rubberized, so that's good there. Obviously ABS holds up because it's on everything. So how well does this work? Well, let's see how fast it takes me to make a mark here. So if I want to do 10 inches, and actually I don't quite well like it. So if I go for my normal application, so normally I'd go like this, you know, and I want to make a mark at 9 inches. So I lock it down. Now you could probably lock it down or not. I don't know if I like that. Let's try it on a different piece of wood here. And I actually haven't used this much at all. I'm kind of a first time user. I just got it out of the package the other day. Figured I'd share it with you guys. So let's try on this. So let's say 8 inches. See, if you don't lock it down though, you've got a lot of wiggle room here. I mean, you're moving back and forth here. You could be off an 18th or a 16th of an inch pretty easily, wiggling back and forth here. I don't really like that. If you have to lock it down every time, especially with this locking mechanism, that's going to be a pain. So 8 inches. If you have to drag it along there, I'm not really feeling it. Now I've also seen other guys that have showed this in a couple of videos, and they say that, you know, the whole concept is to make small marks. So say I want to do 10 inches and just make a mark. Let's see if this wheel will work right. 10 inches, make a mark. 10 inches, make a mark. Let's see how many different measurements I come up with on this. Okay, so there's 2 different ones. Let's see, am I moving? Oh, I'm moving off my line here. I just locked this down as far as it'll go, and I'm moving off my line. I'm not pressing that hard, but I'm moving. So there you go. I made 4 different measurements trying to get 10 inches with that lock mechanism. It seems like a really nice idea. The graphite, you don't have to use a pencil, saves you a step. But if you're just working in the workshop, like I have this, which is a lever lock. So if you don't know what this is, basically it locks on its own. And then when you want to retract it, you push down the bottom here, which I love this tape measure. It's a really nice design because it allows you to be, to not have that extra step of locking it down before you mark it. So you just pull it out and mark. So I don't know how, it's a really nice thought. I don't know how practical it is. I'm going to use it in my shop here for the next couple months. It's probably going to replace the Fat Max that I normally use. So we'll really see if it performs or if it's just a kind of a gimmicky thing. You know, somebody thought it was a good idea, let's do it, and they'll sell a whole bunch of them, which is a little bit how it seems to me, but hey, it's a tape measure, you know. So the other thing I think about is refills. When you've got to get a refill for it. So the refills are about, looks like 20 for like $10, which isn't horrible, but and they say that this, according to the branding, the packaging, it says it's 1,000 plus marks per load, which is probably small marks. You can just see the packaging here if you're curious, because I couldn't imagine you'd be marking long boards, but I don't see. It's really difficult to mark anything long with this anyway, though. I mean, if I had to go out and I had to mark 6 inches on this piece of wood, see, is that lever, man, gets me every time. And it's loaded correctly. Like, I didn't screw anything up when I loaded it. So I'm holding this. That's difficult. And then if I sway a little bit, because it is hard to push, because they probably practiced a lot in the commercial to make it look super fancy and exactly. I'll probably look like an idiot trying to use this stupid tape measure. Anyways, so there's that. So you have to get refills at some point if that's what you're using it for. Otherwise, it's just a regular tape measure. Price point on this is about $30 for the tape measure, right around there. I think it's what they're online for, from what I saw. So as far as what I like, I do like, the tape measure's nice. I like the way it sits in the hand. I like the materials. They're all pretty standard for the most part. I don't like, oh, and also it's got a nylon coated tape, so that's good. I don't like the lock mechanism, obviously. Not a fan. The wheel and graphite, it seems like a really good idea. It seems like somebody smart came up with that idea. As far as practical use, I'm not so sure. I'm not convinced yet. So we'll have to really put it to some good use, and maybe I'll do another review on it in a few months after I've used it. Changing this lock to something better could make it a whole new tape, really. But with the lock the way it is very difficult. I'm not feeling that. But other than that, it seems pretty much like most other tape measures. Other than the graphite, that's really it. But and the measuring changes with the graphite, obviously, because you're not measuring on the line anymore. Also, the other thing that I think about is, as far as like construction use, it's about, that's about a carpenter's pencil line, I'd say. But it's definitely not what I use, or maybe a marker. Some guys prefer a marker, but I actually use this. I do a lot of smaller woodworking stuff, so I'll use a mechanical pencil instead, and it's definitely not going to be as precise as my mechanical pencil, not even close. Which may not matter, if you're doing construction, this little, 32nd, 16th of an inch, whatever, difference is not going to matter a whole lot to you, probably, if you're just framing or something. But if you're doing woodworking or any fine work, that could be a big difference in the long run. Because if obviously you're going to be wanting to cut on one side or the other of the line. But if I can't make a straight line, that's going to be difficult to figure out. Versus that line, I know exactly where it's at. And even if I cut on the line, I'm still maybe a 64th off if I make it there. So that's my look on the QuickDraw measuring tape. I'll put it to good use over the next couple months and see, and maybe I'll come back if anything changes as far as my viewpoint. But there it is, just so you have another review to look at. I hope that helps you guys with any purchase you're thinking about making, maybe know a little bit more information on it. Until the next video, though, you guys have a good one.